Good morning, children. Today for class 9 we will see the remainder theorem. Okay, we are dealing with the chapter polynomials, and today the topic for today is the remainder theorem. Okay, now we have learned division in the lower classes, right? Just say I'm going to divide 10 by 8. Okay, now when I divide 10 by 8, what will I get? How many times will 8 go into 10? Once, right? So 8 ones are 8, and I get 2 remainder when I subtract. Clear? Okay, so how do I represent this 10? 10 is known as the dividend, correct? 8 is the divisor. This is the quotient, and 2 is the remainder. This is something we have learned in the very small classes, right? Now the division algorithm is given by 10 is equal to what? 8 into 1 plus 2. What is that? 10 is the dividend. Dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. Now this is the division algorithm. What does it mean? The dividend is equal to the divisor into quotient plus remainder. This is known as the division algorithm, and this is what we have been using for all our numbers. Now the same thing can apply for polynomials. In a polynomial, if p of x is the polynomial, then what do we find? We find p of x is equal to g of x into q of x plus r of x, where p of x is the dividend, g of x is the divisor, q of x is the quotient, and r of x is the remainder. Okay, so this same division algorithm applies for polynomials. Okay, now supposing I want to find the remainder. If I want to find the remainder, even in ordinarily when two numbers are divided, we can use this division, right? This method is known as the long division method. The same thing we can use for polynomials. I will teach you how we go about to find the remainder using the long division method. There is another easy method to find only the remainder by using the remainder theorem. First we will see the remainder theorem today. Okay. Now for the remainder theorem, the definition is, okay, if p of x is a polynomial with a degree which is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, if p of x is of degree greater than or equal to 1, okay, and it is divided by a linear polynomial linear polynomial x minus a, then okay, the remainder is p of a. What is the remainder? P of a, where a is a real number. Okay, this is the remainder theorem. The remainder theorem is when we divide a polynomial by a linear polynomial, then the remainder is obtained by substituting p of a. Understand? Instead of x, if we find the value of a and substitute, we'll get the remainder. Understand? Let us go through with an example. Okay? Now the example will be, let's say we have find the remainder using remainder theorem. That is the question, just say. and they have a polynomial p of x equal to x cubed plus 2x squared minus x plus 2. This is some polynomial, okay? And it is divided by another polynomial, g of x, which is equal to x minus 1, okay? So, when p of x is divided by g of x, we have to find the remainder. R of x is equal to what? Correct? So, in that case, what I am going to do is, I am going to take this g of x, okay, and equate to 0. When I equate to 0, what will I get my value of x as? X minus 1 is equal to 0. That implies x is equal to 1. So once I have got the value of x, I can substitute this value in p of x and get the remainder. Okay, so that implies p of 1 is equal to, what will it become? 1 cube plus 2 into 1 square minus 1 plus 2. Have you got it? X cubed, so 1 cubed plus 2 into 1 squared minus 1 plus, have you got it? So what will this become? This will become 1 plus 1 squared is 1, 2 into 1 is 2 minus 1 plus 2. So this will cancel out and you will get 4. So the answer, the remainder that you will get when you divide this polynomial by this polynomial is going to be 4. Okay. Now this remainder theorem is very easy. Okay. I will teach you long division method also to find the remainder. Understand? So the same sum let us do by long division method. So in that case, what will happen? Let us see if we get the same remainder. Okay. So I am going to divide x cubed plus 2x squared minus x plus 2 by x minus 1. Okay. Now what happens is, we'll have to go by steps and do it correctly. Okay. So, first step for long division method. Okay, this is the long division method. Long division method, when a polynomial p of x is divided by another polynomial g of x minus 1. Okay. So when we are going to divide, what happens is, the first step that we have to do is underline the first term and the first term. First term of the dividend and the first term of the divisor. So what's the first step? Underline the first term of the dividend and the first term of the divisor. Then go to your working margin. There you divide that term, x cubed by x, x cubed by x. Now when I cancel out, what will I get? I'll get x squared, right? How will I get x squared? 3 minus 1 will give me x squared. Now whatever answer I get here, I will put it as my quotient. So this will become x squared. Have you got it? Once that has been done, then you multiply this x squared into the whole divisor. So what will that be? X squared into x minus 1. Are you following? What was the first step that I did? I underlined the first term in the dividend and the first term in the divisor and divided both in the working margin, and I've got my quotient. That I have put it as my quotient, first term of my quotient, and then multiply x squared by the whole divisor. So when I multiply distributive property, what will you get? X squared into x will be x cubed minus x squared into 1 will be x squared. Have you got it? Now this I will write here. You will put x cubed under the x cubed term and this x squared under the x squared term. Are we okay? Now when we do a actually for division we'll have to subtract, right? When we subtract, we'll have to change the sign. This plus will become minus, minus will become plus. Now looking at the new signs, what will you get? X cubed minus x cubed cancel out. Now look at the new sign, 2x squared plus x squared will give me 3x squared. Now for division we have to bring down the next term, minus x. Once you have brought it down, you will have to continue in the same way as we have done. What is the first step that we did? We have to underline the first term. When you underline the first term and the first term in the dividend and divisor, then go to your working margin and divide 3x squared by x. So what will I get? 3x squared by x will be, x will cancel out, you get 3x. Correct? Now whatever I have got, I have to write it as my quotient term plus 3x. After writing 3x there, what's my next step? 3x into the entire divisor. So when I do that, it will be x minus 1. Okay. So now you have to use distributive property. When you use distributive property, what will you get? 3x squared minus 3x into 1 is 3x. Okay. Now this I am going to write it below these terms. X squared term under the x squared term minus the x term under the x term. Now when I am going to subtract, we have to change the sign. Minus into plus will become minus. Minus into minus will become plus. Now this we have done in class 8, right? When we have to subtract, we always change the sign in the second term, correct? Okay. So now look at the new sign. 3x squared minus 3x squared will cancel out. And here minus x plus 3x will become 2x. Correct? Now bring down the last term. What is that? Plus 2. Now once again we'll repeat the same process. What is that? Okay. Now the next process will be underline the first term in the dividend and the first term in the divisor. Now divide them. So what will you get? 2x by x. This will cancel out and you will get 2. Whatever I have got here, I have to write it as plus 2 here. Correct? Now I have to multiply this by the entire divisor. So what will it become? 2 into x minus 1. So what will you get? 2x minus 2 into 1 is 2. So this you write below the terms. So what will you get here? X term under x term and the constant below the constant term. Now let us subtract. When we are subtracting, this plus and minus into plus will become minus, minus into minus will become plus. That is, we are literally changing the signs. Now 2x minus 2x will cancel out. And what will we get? Look at the new sign. 2 plus 2 is 4. Are we getting the same remainder as we got in the remainder theorem? Yes. So, two methods of finding the remainder when a polynomial p of x is divided by another polynomial g of x. The first method was by the remainder theorem and the second method is by the long division method. Have you understood? Okay. The long division method, I will just give a recap and I will give you some sums for homework. Please try them by both long division method and remainder theorem method. Okay? Right. Now a recap of this will be, just say p of x polynomial is divided by the polynomial g of x. Now what we have to do is, first thing we have to check in this long division method is whether the powers of x are in the descending order and the powers of x here also are in the descending order. Then you go ahead for the division. When we are dividing, we underline the first term of the dividend and the first term of the divisor and go to the working margin and divide both the terms. The answer that you get, you will place it on the top for the quotient and then multiply that answer by the entire divisor. When you multiply, you have to use distributive property, that is x squared into x will be x cubed minus x squared into 1 will be x squared. Have you got it? Now this you will write below the terms here according to their powers. So x cubed term, I will write the x cubed term below that and minus x squared under the x squared term. Now when I subtract, I have to change the sign here. This will cancel out and 2x squared plus x squared will become 3x squared. Okay, once we have got that, bring down the next term. That is what we do for division, right? We bring down the next number. Here we will bring down the next term. So you will get 3x squared minus x. Now continue the same process. Underline the first term in this divisor, a dividend, and the first term in the divisor. Then go to the working margin and divide 3x squared by x. When you divide, you will get 3x. 2 minus 1 will become to the power of 1, so 3x. Now write 3x on the top for the quotient. Then multiply 3x by the entire divisor. When you multiply 3x by the entire divisor, what happens? 3x into x will become 3x squared minus 3x into 1 will be 3x. Okay, that is the distributive property. Now write the same terms under the corresponding powers. So I will write 3x squared under this x squared term and minus 3x under the x term. Then subtract. Once you have subtracted, for the subtraction of course we change the sign and subtract. When you subtract, what happens? 3x squared minus 3x squared will cancel out and minus x plus 3x will become 2x. Now once we have got 2x, bring down the last term. Once you have brought down the last term, the same process we will repeat. What is that? We will underline the first term here and the first term here and go to the working margin and divide. Once we have divided, the answer that we get, I will write it in the quotient place. After that, I will multiply that answer by the entire divisor. So you will get 2 into x minus 1. Now use distributive property and expand the bracket. So 2 into x will be 2x and 2 into minus 1 will be minus 2. Now write it below the corresponding terms and subtract. When you subtract, 2x and minus 2x will cancel out and this new sign is 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So the remainder, when this polynomial p of x is divided by the polynomial g of x, we get the remainder 4. Have you understood, children? Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay home, stay safe. Please finish your homework also. Thank you.